National President, Deputy Party Leader, Majority Leader, kindly sit on the other side of the Party Leader. This national assembly, they are supposed to do it. How do you come? It's a hand mic. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Secretary General and the party leader, UDP family, occasion of unveiling of the manifesto and 5-point agenda of the United Democratic Party. Those who are standing to kindly, things can start as soon as possible. Those are the, so that we can start. Kindly take you. We can proceed. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. All of you. My name is Almami Fandingtal. I am the spokesperson of the United Democratic Party. I am going to be the person talking about what we are going to talk about today. We have a very, with 5 only. We know today is a Friday. Quick affair to stay here more than necessary. Our agenda is silent prayer so that start this program. Thank you very much. We will have a silent prayer. The next item is the Republic of the Gambia. If we can the control room apparently is not quite ready. Control room, we are standing for the noise. Whilst we wait for the, I will take the opportunity to share the agenda of the day. The first item on my agenda is what I'm doing now, introducing the event. And then we have presentations of the background to the whole of the third point, hopefully by and answers, to ask, and what have we interpretations, what are the takeaways, and finally we will have refreshments and of Kanifing municipality and the representative of the mayor of the city of Banjul, chairpersons of local government authorities, honorable members of the National Assembly, honorable councillors of the different municipalities, representatives of the media fraternity, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Secretary General of the United Democratic Party, it is my great honor to welcome you to the unveiling of the manifesto for the 2021 presidential election. It is a very important occasion in the agenda of the UDP. We are gathered here today in the 25th year of our founding of the United Democratic Party. And I have heard that the tides of history flow, and as it flows, it carries to the source of reality one cardinal truth of the ages, that for a democratic country to endure, citizens must be actively engaged. Citizens must choose among themselves the best and the brightest in temperament and in ability to lead their struggle. The United Democratic Party was founded precisely to lead a struggle against dictatorship, to peacefully politics so that democracy can be restored. Then and now, the vision of the United Democratic Party is to foster national unity in greater democracy. So today we are very proud, we are very pleased that many years of hard work, many years of sacrifice is culminating in the most consequential election in the history of our republic in December. We pride ourselves as being the party of transformation, as the party of the millennials, because our party was also born around the turn of the last century. Today, we have experienced people, quality people, for more than 2 years to put together a program and a vision for transformation of our republic. Therefore, we are that all of you are present here on this Friday morning to hear what UDP has in store for this nation. It's now my pleasure to call on Mr. of the manifesto and the 5 points agenda. Mr. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Alman. Good morning, everybody. Let me
Where are the technicians of the content? This is not very helpful.
it's not projected.
Well, it's bad. I don't know who is behind the screen because the screen is quite dark. Please, can you project the presentation that Mr. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏 wants to make? Thank you very much. And can you be standing by so that we can move seamlessly as much as possible?
Thank you. Good morning again. Let me recognize the party leader and flag bearer, the deputy party leader, the national president, the mayors, national executive members. I don't want to leave anybody out, so I will just observe all the protocols. As Almame has said, we took about 2 years to put our heads together to come up with a manifesto and a 5-point agenda called out of that manifesto. 2 years of subcommittee is that did the work on the sectors, are sector specialists, and all of the members of those subsector committees are also subject matter specialists. What I can brag about is that was the intellectual muscle is there, and we decided we're going to do this on our own. The manifesto and its 5-point agenda are intended to create a transformational agenda for the Gambia. That transformational agenda, as I said, was done by the Strategy and Policy Committee, and we employed a sector diagnostic methodology to do it. In other words, we felt most of the sectors of the country, if not all of them, are sick. So we need to do a diagnostic job in order to investigate what the sickness is about and how to recommend actions that could lead to curing the sickness. The 5-point agenda is therefore a prioritization of the manifesto. It's not showing. Where are the slides? Okay. So the 5-point agenda is a prioritization of the manifesto itself. It highlights the key areas that a UDP-led government is going to tackle in terms of the diagnostics that we came up with. That does not mean that the rest of the manifesto is not going to be implemented, but this 5-point agenda is meant to prioritize what needs to be done in the first, say, 1 year, 6 months to 2 years. The methodology we used identified the challenges of each of the sectors, the potential of the sector, the party's position on the sector, and the party's commitment to the sectors. If it is implemented in the way it is designed, the final outcome will be the creation of a capable state in the Gambia. A capable state is essentially a state that can achieve transformational development results, meaning development results that will transform the lives of Gambians. And in order for us to do that, we have to undergo institutional reforms and alignment. There has to be accountability, transparency, and probity. All because we want to build a progressive and prosperous state. All of these things will be hinged on a strong anti-corruption stance of a UDP government. There will be no tolerance for corruption, there will be no tolerance for tribalism, and there has to be a mindset change which is conducive to reforms. We don't have mindset changes, the reforms are not going to work. Transformational development, when we get out of here and people ask, what do you mean by transformational development? We'll say transformational development involves more than just economic growth. It is an approach to community welfare, which takes into account the spiritual, social, cultural, and economic well-being of citizens. It is holistic. You just don't zoom in and build hospitals and roads and zoom out. The community has to benefit from the development investments that are made. Therefore, the capable state is anchored on an effective, efficient, and equitable service delivery system. Once the contours of the capable state are laid, the final outcome of the implementation of the manifesto and the 5-point agenda is to essentially put the country on track for playing a developmental and transformative role in the lives of citizens. This will, of course, require the immersion of the public service and state-owned enterprises in the development agenda. they have to be immersed into how the party wants the government to run. They have to be immersed into the ideology of the party in the creation of a capable state. Now, this has to be done with limited political interference. Once the immersion is done, the decentralization of service delivery sets in. Now, if you look at what's been happening in the mayor's 𝒘𝒂𝒃𝒃 municipal council election, that's when you realize that it's time for us to decentralize and put in place legal frameworks which empowers elected officials to carry on their elected duties without undue interference politically. We talked about how best to report development results in terms of the linkages between what is happening on the ground, how it is reported, and how to link it up with all the ministry websites and a website that would be created in the office of the president, which is essentially a delivery unit. Now, those who keep pace on these developments will realize that the idea of a delivery unit was started by Tony Blair in the UK. Countries such as New Zealand, Australia, even the USA copied it, designed delivery units in the centers of power, normally staffed by 3 individuals, an economist, a statistician, and a legal person, and they report directly to the president through a chain. Now, their job is to record the achievements of implementation, and ministries will be obliged to have a running, efficient, effective website which will be linked to this delivery unit, and in essence, if it is set up properly, the president can sit at his desk, look at the Ministry of Finance, what his commitments with them, click on it, and see where finance is making progress or not making progress. And he can pick up the phone and say, Mr. Finance, you are not delivering on your commitment to me. Countries have done that. Best examples of countries who have done that are Singapore, Rwanda, Botswana, South Africa, and in the West Africa region, Ghana has just gotten one up and running, where the president just can pick up the phone and call a minister and say, you are not delivering. So that the monitoring, evaluation, reporting aspect of implementation of the manifesto and the 5-point agenda, these are key. If we don't have a robust real-time monitoring, evaluation, reporting system, the president cannot go back to the people and say, I have delivered. In fact, the people will see that he hasn't been able to deliver. And of course, some presidents have used the monitoring evaluation framework to reshuffle cabinets and to also reshuffle permanent secretaries and state-owned enterprises because of lack of performance. When you are called in and you are told you are not performing, and these are the areas that you are not performing, it's very difficult to argue with that. So it's a very effective tool which empowers the president to do his job without too much paperwork. I am going to conclude by saying that, and I looked at this carefully, This is a quotation from the current Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres. Recently, he was on an international panel, and the panel was discussing corruption. And he basically said corruption is the ultimate betrayal of public trust. Corruption is the ultimate betrayal of public trust. I don't know, this is a very simple quotation, but it's hugely profound. Because basically it is saying they elect you, put you in government, trust you to take care of their welfare, and you corrupt yourself. This is what this quotation is all about. And before deciding to include this in my conclusion, I thought about Gambia as it is today. And I've realized that the Gambia has turned into a predatory state. Honestly, predatory state. We have predators running our government. And we all know what predators do. I don't need to give examples of predators. No. I felt the Gambia has turned into a predatory state by tenderpreneurs, people who do business with government solely not because of knowledge, experience, but who you know and who you can corrupt to give you a tender. So those are the tenderpreneurs. And the state itself has been turned into a posture of tenderpreneurship. It's a tenderpreneurship state. And we have to draw the line somewhere in saying there is enough corruption, enough is enough, we need to clean house. And I think if you listen to the party leader, the various leaderships of the party, you realize that UDP is on the track of saying we'll have zero tolerance for corruption. And that is what is required for us to extricate ourselves from this predatory state situation that we are in. Now, for us to get out of that predatory state, there has to be very strong political will for the achievement of transformational development results. If the political will is not there, it's not going to happen. We've seen it in this current government. All the commitments made with the donors, with the people, with the coalition, have all been reneged on, simply because the political will is not there to deliver on what you commit to deliver. So in order for us to design a capable state, achieve transformational development results, have zero tolerance for corruption, zero tolerance for tribalism, and a push for a whole-scale mindset change in our people, we have to have that strong political will. And finally, the capable state is all about service delivery, decentralization, anti-corruption stance, transparency, and accountability. Basically, we need to have a paradigm shift in how we do business. And that paradigm shift has to allow us to adapt to the new structures that will be required for us to be a capable state. The rest is something that I came up with. I said, vote UDP. Can you put that thing up, please? I'm a bit ahead, yes. Vote UDP. A vote for UDP is a vote for transformation. Now, I would like to end by I would like to end by saying I can't name all of the Policy and Strategy Committee members. Some of them are here, others are not here. But honestly, I need to recognize them. These guys have put up with a lot of push from me, from my co-chair, to deliver, and to deliver on time, and they have. Let us recognize them and give them standing ovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the co-chair of the UDP Strategy and Policy Committee, Mr. Larry Sise, was at various times Gambian public servant. For many years, for 2.5 decades, he was servant of Kofi Annan, Ban Ki-moon, and very recently Antonio Guterres. He has served in Southern Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Botswana, and he retired from the UN system as a deputy resident representative of the UNDP. So he brings to this task a lot of experience, a lot of insight, and I'm not going to translate, but what he said really is what UDP stands for. The values of the United Democratic Party is to build a capable state, is to build a developmental state, a state that is capable of empowering its people, is capable of empowering its institutions to develop and deliver competent results for the citizens. This was a background look at the agenda. It's now my great pleasure and my great honor to invite Mrs. Odiba to dilate on the manifesto and the 5-point agenda. Her presentation may be more technical and may be more specific. We know after today we would be involved in a lot of retailing, a lot of explaining about our values, about our ideas for change and transformation. Mrs. Odiba, ma'am, you have the floor. Mrs. Odiba is the Deputy Senior Administrative Secretary of the United Democratic Party. Until her joining the United Democratic Party, she served as a leader at the African Development Bank. Her focus is on human capital development, and we are very pleased to have her as one of our formidable ladies in the United Democratic Party. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tal. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Tal, for the introduction. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Hello? Your Excellency, Honorable Ousainou Darboe, Secretary General and Party Leader of the United Democratic Party. It's not working. Hello? Your Excellency, Honorable Ousainou Darboe, Secretary General and Party Leader of the United Democratic Party. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, UDP National Executive Members, UDP 𝒘𝒄𝒄𝒆𝒔, Your Worship, the Lord Mayor, Kanifing Municipal Council, and the representative of the Mayoress, Banjul City Council, chairpersons of local government authorities, honorable members of parliament, councillors, representatives of media fraternity, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. today is a huge milestone for us at the UDP as we unveil this baby that, as has been highlighted by Mr. Cisse and Mr. Tal, the baby that we have been nurturing for a couple of years to make sure we get it right. I want us to really to acknowledge that the success today has been a year of consultations, 2 years of consultations, teamwork, and we want to thank our dear compatriots in the UK, in the diaspora, in the UK and the US in particular, for their unconditional support and contributions pro bono. So many Gambians who are not necessarily UDP members have also contributed towards this particular baby, this project. But they were rather sympathizers who were eager to contribute to the development of the Gambia. The Strategy and Policy Committee and the sector experts have been just fantastic. The UDP National Executive, who kept us on our feet constantly to ensure that the end product truly reflects Gambian realities. To all of them, we say thank you, Abaraka, Jerelen Jeff, for your support and guidance. Ladies and gentlemen, I will start by elaborating on who we are. One of the largest parties and most structured, largest political party in the Gambia, founded on the 23rd of August 1996. At that time, we won 31 votes out of 53 contested seats at the National Assembly in the parliamentary elections of 2017. We also control all but one of the 8 local government councils in the Gambia, and we represent all segments of the Gambian society and operate on an open door policy on membership. We have chapters across the globe, from the United Kingdom to Europe, the Middle East, Angola, the United States, and so on, and Africa. Why are we doing what we're doing? We are doing this because we have consulted, we have had conversations with deep communities, in deep rural communities, and they share their needs, their wants, and what is important to them. So for us, we decided to take that on and do research as well and make contributions to get to where we are. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, today we are pleased to present 2 areas. One is on the 5-point agenda, and the other is to just touch on the different sectors that we have on the full manifesto. And as had been previously alluded to, the 5-point agenda comes out of those sectors that we are supporting. And we have about 20 sectors that we will look at, but the 5-point agenda would be the contractual commitment that a UDP government will give so that come 2026, we invite the media, we invite everyone here to hold us accountable whether we have actually said what we were going to do. So come 2026, Honorable 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 will be able to say, we promised you this, and we have concluded on this, notwithstanding we have also worked on the other sectors. But if we want to promise that we are going to do all 20 sectors within 5 years, people should not take us seriously. And so that is why we say we will prioritize the human capital, because in order for us to grow, to continue to grow, we need to make sure that the human capital has all the requirements on skills necessary and everything else that is required for us to be able to implement what we want to implement. That is why we decided that instead of putting in infrastructure, we will focus on the environment, we will focus on education and skills, we will focus on the areas that will help to improve the quality of life of Gambians. So today, our 5-point agenda will deliberately and unapologetically focus on the human capital. Recently, we had heard in the news that the Gambia's poverty rate has increased by over, I think, 30%. That is a concern for us, which means a UDP government going in has a lot of cleaning up and that it will inherit. So our 5-point agenda focuses on youth employment and empowerment, education, skills and training, nutrition, agriculture and food security, public health security and social protection, digital and energy infrastructure. So under the 5-point agenda, under the youth employment and empowerment, a UDP government has committed to creating that conducive environment and setting the right framework. We have to understand that governments are not the ones that actually do the work. They create the environment. They have the political will to make things happen. Government has no business going into business. Rather, create it and invite the people to work with the private sector to ensure that we move ahead. So we want to ensure that we collaborate with the private sector and the youths to obtain the right skills and help them increase their employability and their business acumen. We will establish 10 specialized skill centers through the skills enhancement zones that we have as part of our plan. And we will provide facilities for trainers to enhance skills in technology, in sports, and entrepreneurship, and also soft skills. I think one of the key challenges we have here in this country is we were never taught soft skills in school. We were only taught to pass exams and get ready to move on. So a combination of the soft skills and the entrepreneurship skills, or whatever skills you have, will be fundamental for the Gambian youth in particular going forward. We also, as I mentioned, we want to establish 10 specialized skills centers through skills enhancement zones. And we want to ensure that every single region in this country will have centers where skills training will happen there, where we will be able to zone different sectors, especially in agriculture, across these 7-8 regions. Of course, we already realize that in zoning, we already have these regions known for what they do. For example, the KM region focuses on the tourism industry. So we can, for example, zone KM as an industrial zone, but on tourism. And then we know that in CRR, we have the 𝒂𝒂, and we would bring that back to make sure that CRR would be for rice cultivation or whatever that it can accommodate in that region. And so we've zoned the Central River region as a center for rice. Anyone who wants to go by, anyone who wants to go to business, anyone who wants to do farming, that area will be zoned. And then you have URR, for example, they invest a lot in cotton. So that would be the area that we will have an industrial area for cotton, for growing, planting cotton, and also for having fabrics made. And then in the North Bank, we will look at horticulture, and so on and so forth. So this is the thinking. But these areas are already, in the Western region, would be fisheries and the environment. So anybody who wants to do business in fishing, we will train you and zone, and you go towards that zone. Anybody who wants to go and buy fish, that's the place to go. So we make sure that each of these regions have centers, skills training centers, as well as industrial areas where we will produce tomatoes, for example, into tomato paste or whatever we want to do, and start thinking about also exporting, even exporting our own rice. We are spending a lot of time importing rice into this country, which is the staple food. So these are some of the areas that we want to look at and having the specialized skills centers and the skills enhancement zones. We will establish a youth empowerment fund to help develop local commercial businesses, entities, especially to establish trade and commerce associations and arrangements with partners to create trading hubs for commodities in the country. We remember years ago, before I was born, that our grandfathers, great-grandfathers used to use river transport to go up provinces to trade. But today, we are not able to do that. We don't use our river transport productively. And we want to ensure that all these are taken into consideration going forward to ease traffic and so on. But when I get to the manifesto itself, I think the urban planning will help us to be able to talk more on that. We want to also promote and protect local enterprises and industries, as we have said. And we will provide investments in agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism. And we will also provide opportunities for women, who are the main subscribers in the informal sector. So we want to really help these women set up and also start engaging in other skills areas and other areas for as entrepreneurs. Under the education and skills, so these are some of, I don't want to go into all of it because in the interest of time. Under education, skills, and training, what we want to do is to revisit the Gambian curriculum. I think, as I mentioned earlier, we are training our children to pass exams. We prepare them, we give them hope, they go all the way to university, they finish, and they cannot get a job. So the thinking is to help them with skills, entrepreneurship skills, and also training them in areas that resonate with Gambian realities. So we want to revisit the curriculum to ensure that it would be an education for Gambians, by Gambians, that resonates with Gambian realities. We plan to start entrepreneurship from kindergarten. We see in other countries where you have kids having lemonade stands and selling cookies and going around, and that already is creating an entrepreneurship mindset. But we want this for the youth, for the children, and we need to start with them at a very early age on skills, both hardcore skills, soft skills, and entrepreneurship, so that by the time they get to the end of their academic career, they can either be employers or employees, but at least they have a skill and they can set up their own business. So they have already been trained as entrepreneurs and they already have the skill sets, and they will have a youth development fund that already is helping to create that environment for our youths to thrive tomorrow. We also, want to look at teacher professional development. There's a big challenge that we have in this country on teacher development, and this is one area that we want to do. We want to incentivize the teaching profession. When we were young, our teachers were like gods and goddesses to us. We looked up to them. They were the ones that would tell us what to do and what not to do. Today, teachers are not respected. Not many people want to go into the teaching profession for various reasons, and we have to make it attractive enough and help to develop them, have teacher mentors that would mentor them, and have an institution that we had, Gambian College, and we used to have teacher trainers that go to the schools that were allocated. We want to revisit that because it helped us. What we also want to say that one of the things that we fell into the trap of development or growth was we were taught in our minds, to go into jobs that you have to wear a suit and tie and hold a briefcase and go into an air-conditioned office. That's not the reality anymore. That has changed, and we want Gambians to be more productive, more active, and to encourage them and create that environment for them. So we will look at the entire education curriculum and even the examination processes that we do. In the schools now, most of them are all teacher-centered, and we want to focus on learner-centered, where children are able to be exploratory, be curious, and come with an open mind. But we were taught under the teacher-learner process, and we want to shift that for the teachers to encourage. Not every child is cut out for the classroom. So we want to make sure that in whatever way, we really capture the strengths and the skills of these children, identify what special skills they have, help them to get that out and to grow in those areas. I think when their own passion or their skills becomes a job, it is a job, it doesn't become a job anymore, it just becomes part of your passion that you're doing, and that's what we want to encourage. From the COVID-19 pandemic, UDP learned that there is no perfect replacement for face-to-face delivery of education and training. We tried and tested a little bit of learning from the radios, from TVs during COVID lockdown. I think we need to do better and do more on that, because the way to go now is on technology. And so UDP wants the Gambia to be part of that ship that is crossing the Atlantic, to be part of that process of growth. We are also aware that the cost of education is a major barrier for many children and adolescents. We want to also commit to providing free education from from basic education all the way to secondary education. And we want to look at where we can help. Often they say free education, but then the school comes back and say, but you need to buy uniform, but you need to buy books, but you need to buy chairs, you need to buy table. So investment in education, skills, training for our children, the future generation, and the present generation of youth, we have to make sure that we provide them with all the necessary requirements for them to grow as leaders in this country. These are, we have quite a lot of areas that we want to do, which includes coaching, mentoring, training. We want our youths to go into youth service schemes, National Youth Service Scheme. Every child, we will make sure that once they finish, that they are able to go and work, do some community work or whatever it is, but at least help to teach them to be more patriotic towards their country. So we want to look at that area of ensuring that we bring back to life the youth service scheme and make sure that it becomes mandatory for every child that finishes school and to prepare them for the world of work outside of the classroom. So in other areas, we have quite a lot of areas that we have focused on, especially on the skills development for the youth, so I don't want to go too much into that. The next area we have is nutrition, agriculture, and food security. We all know that agriculture is the bread and butter of this country, in essence, and tourism. And we know that we are not doing enough. We are not providing enough space for farmers. So we want to look at the entire comprehensive agriculture sector review, to looking at wastage. So when I was talking about the zones, we want to really have agricultural zones across the country. And in doing that, we will be able to support and get more youths and women going into agriculture, not for sustenance only, but also looking at agriculture as a business. As my former boss, the president of African Development Bank, used to say, get them to be agripreneurs so that they start looking at it as a business and engaging. And also the women who comprise majority of the informal sector to help them in those areas, providing storage facilities for them, and also land and farming as amongst others. So we will look at the production and the value chain infrastructure and facilities of the agricultural sector as a whole, what really make it viable and encourage our youths to go into agriculture as a business. And then we have the agenda on the public health, security, and social protection. Need we say more on public health and the challenges that we have experienced with COVID? We were not ready. Nobody was ready. But we were even more affected as a result of our weak health infrastructure. It is a priority for UDP. The area that we have also on maternal mortality is a no compromise for us. It has to be a priority. We will invest and ensure that the youth, any child going to school, lactating and nursing mothers, and the elderly get free health care in this country. And we need to work on that. Apologies to the men, not that we don't think you are important, but if we do not get the women right and we do not get the youths right, we wouldn't be able to get you right. So we are hoping that those areas or those groups will help the men, because if it's the other way around, you won't get it. But a woman will say, let me add my husband in on it and go. The man will go and do on his own and expect the woman to go and do on his own. So that's why we decided to do that. But also knowing that the women in this country are the backbone of progress in this country. We at UDP, we've experienced that when most of all our leaders, male leaders, were incarcerated, and we saw the level of leadership within the party in their absence. They took the reins, they challenged the status quo, they went out there, did the Calamaro revolution. I didn't see any men in those videos, UDP men. I only saw the women. And the first time I had seen that, even before I joined UDP, I was like, digga. These people are the ones that make or break Gambia's economy. We will also want to ensure that our primary healthcare system across the country are refurbished and fully equipped. Gambia used to be one of the countries in this region that people used to come here for primary health care. We had that, we lost it, we are going to bring it back. We must develop the healthcare system and also have these hospitals renovated or rebuilt. I think Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital has done its quota. So trying to refurbish that area, I don't know what it would look like, but we really want to make sure we prioritize health. On the social protection, we know that our parents and our grandparents, once they finish employment, they do not have access to anything. Nobody takes care of them. The pensions that they receive is not even, at the end of the month, is not even enough to feed them for a day. So we must have social safety nets that we will provide for these groups, especially for the elderly, and also for mothers. Well, not necessarily a full welfare system, but we're able to help people live a life of dignity, even after they've finished work. We will also ensure that we have the energy and digital infrastructure. Everything that I have said before, if we do not look at the energy and digital infrastructure as a country, we will be left behind and will probably end up becoming a region. Because we need to make sure that we have energy, proper energy and infrastructure. Something must have gone wrong for every government to be here and not able to address the energy sector. So we will really revisit and make sure we look into these things, because we all know the cost. Most people now in this country are using solar panels or generators. And I think Gambians, again, need to have the quality of their lives improved. So, the M-Pesa program that they have in Kenya, we want to look at that. I know there's orange money, there are other areas, but we also want to look at having an e-government, a digital government, but to do that you need to have proper energy. The cost of internet services here is extremely, extremely high. There seems to be no control on the cost of internet for phones or anything. So we want to also regulate that, but make sure that we have that, because we want to focus on e-governance to avoid pilferages and to avoid corruption. And who is going to benefit from this? I think every Gambian will benefit directly or indirectly. But we will definitely make special emphasis on the youths, the young women and girls, and the nursing and lactating mothers. The information needed is on the website on how we are going to do it. I've given you some examples. We are working on the action plan for this, how we are going to do it, who is going to lead and by when. It's not ready, but we already have the manifesto ready. We need every Gambian to come on board and help us unite this country. The government cannot do it alone. The government does not create jobs. The government creates environment for job to prosper and grow. We want every Gambian to come on board to help us unite this country. The social fabric of this country has completely collapsed. Our culture is moving at another level, but we know that our culture is not static. So it will evolve. But I think we need to also bring the younger generation and the older generation to look at how we can modernize some of our cultures and still maintain them, because that is the identification that that we have as Gambians in here. So we want this mindset change, as Mr. Cisse has said, to shift from what's in it for me to how can we come together and help get Gambians out of poverty. Now, coming on the manifesto, we have about, as I mentioned, about 20 sector policies ranging from foreign affairs and diplomacy to devolution of powers and decentralization, infrastructure, sports, gender and women, urban planning development, natural resources and the environment, tourism and culture, security, amongst others. In the interest of time, I don't want to go into detail because we want people to get out of here on time to go to the mosques. But skills development and training will be really the emphasis on everything, because we have to help people go out of this current mindset of always fighting, always on the defensive, and we help our youths to become more patriotic ambassadors of this country. So we have the zoning of the regions and support to the informal sector to create entrepreneurs from as early as kindergarten, as I mentioned. So these are the areas. I invite you to visit our website, where all the information that is needed on the manifesto you will find there. And as Mr. Jani will come, he will explain the website and all the information that people want to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Olidiba Wada, the Deputy Senior Administrative Secretary of the United Democratic Party. Thank you, Mr. Larry Cisse, for the excellent work you have done in the name of the United Democratic Party. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, United Democratic Party, since the change of government, has been trying its best, not only to reform its processes and structures, but also to sketch a vision of transformation and change that will be part and parcel of the legacy of the founding fathers of this republic. In a democratic republic, it's important now and then to renew your strategies, to renew your approaches to the challenges that you face. In a word from the two presentations, we had the creation of a capable state when UDP is in government. We also had that empowerment is going to be the name of the game. Women empowerment, youth empowerment, institutional empowerment to deliver services. We know in the days and weeks ahead before December 4th, we have a lot of time and opportunity to explain in some detail. But in the first quarter of the 21st century, what we have witnessed is the tremendous transformation of our lives through the use of technology. You can learn online, you can do business online, you can do practically everything online. The World Wide Web, that is the biggest gift of the 21st century, is a place where you can put your ideas, you can communicate your vision, you can partner, you can network, you can do everything virtually. So therefore, UDP has built a modern website where constantly our message, the legacy of the struggle that we have been involved in for the last 22, 23 years, and our vision for a future prosperous Gambia will be showcased. Dr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 himself, a political leader of note. He served as a minister in the Jammeh government as information technology minister. He went out to fight for the disestablishment of the dictatorship. He was arrested and he was convicted for treason, and he spent some time in the famous Mile 2 prison, where his brothers and comrades also spent some time, that is the party leader and his brothers. So today, Dr. Janneh is going to take us through the modern website of the United Democratic Party. And just to say, technology is here to stay, is here to make our lives better. Let us use it appropriately. Let us try as much as possible to use it for productive ends, because there is a tendency also that we are all unfortunately aware of, where because of the inexpensive nature of most of these technologies, people are employing it to promote division, they are employing it to insult others, they are employing it to really sow chaos in our communities. We can tell you here and now that the technology that we are going to be using is always going to be empowering Gambians, is always going to be in the aid of the development of the nation. Dr. Janneh, can you please start your presentation? Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏.
I'm extending greetings to all, and I have good news for you to begin this process. The good news is that the manifesto and all of the information you're getting here, you can download from our website. So we don't have to print the 50-page document for you to take. We also are conscious of our environment, and rather than printing 50-page documents for you to take around, all of these would be accessible through our website, udp.gm. It's live now, so if you have internet connection, I'm buying time because the control room is doing some settings, but At least I can tell you, if you go to udp.gm, you'd be able to see the manifesto and all of the 17 areas that are covered, as well as the 5-point agenda. All of these you can find on the website. This website goes to show you that the United Democratic Party believes in transparency, open government, access to information, and we're showing you an example of that commitment now. E-government isn't going to be just mere talk for the UDP government. You heard Mrs. Odiba talk about e-government. I know many of you have experienced going to government departments to fill out applications, and you are told they don't have forms, and you're being sent back. And with the hectic traffic we have, the time that it takes to go from one place to the other, all of these things would be eased if you're able to simply download forms, put applications online, get information about our laws. So these are things that a UDP government will do. Transparency, open government, access to information. But as the previous speakers mentioned, it took at least 2 years of hard work to come up with the manifesto and this 5-point agenda. And a lot of people were involved, experts. Some of them are not affiliated with the party, some are close allies, some members. And a few of them are here, some others are not able to make it, but I can point some. For the website, 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 in the US played a crucial role in designing the website. Before I get into the stuff, at least give credit to the people. We are in the forefront, but we have a lot of help from people who simply volunteer. They use their time, their resources to make this process successful. And UDP is a very inclusive party. We encouraged people who had no ties to the party, who supported even other parties, to share their ideas on what we could do together to transform the Gambia. And other than 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, we have Bakari Jammeh here as well. There are many others, but Bakari Jammeh, other than spending a lot of time going through the material, offered resources in so many ways to make this a successful thing. But we are very grateful to all of them. And okay, now it's on. I was buying time to get to the website here. As you could see, it's a whole new website, and it's going to be a dynamic website. We don't want the types of websites you see online here. Parties put up their websites and then, just visit them every 5 years to make adjustments. We have full-time volunteers who will be managing the websites to make sure that the information is correct, to make sure that updated information is put on the website. And through the website, you would learn the history of the party, what the party stands for, and current and upcoming events. You'd also be able to go to a section and see the party leadership, from the National Executive, members of the National Assembly, all of you'd also get to learn you'd also know which chapters we have, and the wings, youth wing, women's wing, etc. And we also plan to set up subdomains. That way, the Atlanta chapter would have atl.udp.gm, and UK would have uk.udp.gm. That way, we have a lot of coordination in the information we put out. We're able to share information on what's going on within the various chapters. So if there's a placeholder attached to your name there, that means we still need your photo. But over time, you'll be able to click on any of these photos and get detailed information, the CV and what the party member, party executive is doing. So you get to know a whole lot about the party and its members. Let's go to the manifesto. Roll the thing down all the way to the manifesto, please. It's all the way down. Go ahead. Okay. Go a little. Okay. So the manifesto, you can download a PDF version of the manifesto here, and it includes 17 areas. As we mentioned, the 5 priority areas are the priorities for the first 100 days of a UDP government. But you have other concerns that are addressed as well and in very great detail. Environmental protection, fisheries, forestry, things like devolution. You had the example here, the KMC matter. Unless there's a decentralization, unless you have clearly drawn lines between what the central government can and cannot do, we'll continue to have problems. But all of these are addressed. Matters such as ICTs. You all know how expensive it is to make calls here in the Gambia. The internet services quality is very poor, and the cost is extremely high, very exorbitant. These have to be addressed. PURA isn't doing its job to make sure that we have better internet services and at affordable cost. These telecom companies are also not contributing. They're not doing a whole lot in terms of their corporate social responsibilities. Government has to step in to ensure that we have a better environment there. PURA is key in that. So, unlike other parties that took a very short period to install or to establish their websites, we took time, we deliberated, we made sure we have information that we can hold on to. We made sure we have promises that we are able to keep, and that's what the website reflects. So you can go to udp.gm. You can also contribute in case you want to donate to the party in a very transparent manner. You can simply go click donate. I think that's a very important element, especially for those in the diaspora, to find a way to contribute to the party's resources through the website. And click on go to the home menu, please, home. Click the pull down menu, okay. Go on to chapters, the chapters. Click on chapters, please. Click on chapters. Okay, roll down. Is it? If it's slow, that goes to underscore the point about our internet service here. So don't worry, we have a listing of the various chapters in the diaspora. We have a listing of the various wings, and they will be given some autonomy to be able to post localized information. And you would also have a means of reaching party leadership, sending us your concerns and matters that should be addressed. So to save time, simply note the website, the domain address, udp.gm. Visit it, address any concerns to us, suggest any improvements. We are open to suggestions, and we'll make sure we keep it as a dynamic site, providing updates on a regular basis. And so I thank you so much, and we hope the website will be very useful to you. And download the information, because we can't print the 50-page manifesto. the manifesto, 5-point agenda, who's who in the UDP, history of the party, upcoming events. You can find all of that at udp.gm. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Dr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒆𝒍, for that illuminating presentation. Technology definitely is the way to go. We will create a digital economy that will add value to the lives of Gambians, that would empower businesses and communities to be able to communicate instead of quarreling. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wolofs have a saying, "Sabudu food bopam." It means simply that even a bar of soap needs some help to get itself clean. It is really very important today to recognize the founding fathers of the United Democratic Party and to celebrate and recognize the outstanding leadership Alhaji Ousainou Darboe has been presenting to the Gambians and to the United Democratic Party since the founding of the party. He will be speaking next, and he will talk about his contract with the Gambian people. He will talk about a little bit of the history of the party. As usual, he would not talk about himself. He doesn't do that. So it is the responsibility of the coming generation to learn from his example. His example is that leadership is by action. If you go to his office, you see him only with beautiful women. You don't see him with any gentleman. He is committed to women empowerment. He insists every time that if there is a man talking, at least make sure there are two women also talking. So we have learned from him over the years that leadership is about a temperament. He has a first-class temperament. He has an even manner of speaking. He has kept faith with all his friends, even though some have not been as faithful as he has been. He has had quite a few betrayals, spectacular ones. And some of his colleagues that he has been making this journey with have answered the ultimate call. But here is a man who, through the ages, has stood for truth, has stood for justice, has stood for democracy, so that this country will move in the right direction. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure and my proud honor to call on the next president of the Republic of the Gambia to officially launch the UDP manifesto and 5-point agenda. Alhaji Ousainou Darboe.
Thank you very much. It is really something. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I watched my brother and friend Larry when he came to the podium with his gadget, and also watched my niece, Oli Dibawada, also come here with her gadget. Those shows some modernity. But I come here with my papers. But we're talking about technology, so I want to make sure that before we come in our e-government, I am also well trained in this area, so that I will not be left behind. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, UDP National Executive members, UDP 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 members, the Lord Mayor of Kanmin Municipal Council, and the Deputy Mayor and representative of the Mayoress of the City of Banjul, chairpersons of local government authorities, the majority leader and members of the National Assembly are present, councillors, the media fraternity, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Good morning. I hope you are still in the morning, and welcome to the official launch of the United Democratic Party 2021 Manifesto, its 5-point agenda, and official website. Monday, 23rd August 2021 marked the 25th anniversary of the founding of the United Democratic Party. Advisedly, we choose today's occasion for the unveiling of our manifesto for the presidential elections, which is less than 100 days from today. This is a significant milestone in the history of our great party. It is therefore fitting to share the UDP story with the younger generation and first-time voters in the hope that our story will inspire them to consider service to the Gambia, our homeland, as the greatest act of patriotism. One of the first actions of the military junta following the coup d'etat of July 22, 1994, was to suspend all political activities in the country. Effectively, the suspension silenced the PPP, the NCP, GPP, and DOI, all political parties of the First Republic. The suspension of political activities left the AFPRC as the lone actor in the political arena until in or about August 1996. In 1996, the ban on the suspension of political activities was lifted, but this was followed by the banning of leaders of the First Republic politicians except DOI. And except DOI, the then existing political parties were all proscribed. The banned politicians and their proscribed parties were perceived to be the greatest threats to Yahya Jammeh's intended self-perpetuating rule. Negotiations for the formation of a new political party began in the middle of July 1996 and lasted for almost 6 weeks. The maiden meeting took place in the residence of Mr. Sidi Asanya of blessed memory. He later became the first senior administrative secretary of the party. This meeting was attended by representatives of the three parties, namely PPP, NCP, and GPP. And amongst those representatives, were Honorable 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 Jammeh, Mr. Sidi Asanya, Honorable Landing Jallow Sane, Alhaji Jobu Kante, Alhaji Ansunding Keita, Honorable Mbemba Tembedu, Mr. Femi Peters, and Alhaji Ahmad Koro. The first meeting was on a Sunday and shrouded in great secrecy. This was despite the lifting of the ban on political activities, as it was still dangerous to openly show the soldiers turned politicians that there are people who were not prepared to toe their own lines. The maiden meeting led to a broad consensus for the creation of a strong political force to be composed of supporters of the three parties mentioned above. The resolution adopted at the maiden meeting to create a progressive democratic movement that all the three parties subscribed to was ratified by the executive members of the respective parties. That done, the way was clear for the next step, that is the identification of a leader of the party to be found. The search for a leader necessitated the drawing up of a list of potential candidates of 8 people. This list was debated and shortlisted down to 3. The first and second listed candidates declined to accept the proposal and the choice now fell on the third listed, who was out of the country at the time. The rest, as he says, is history. But that third listed person was my humble self. Today, I stand here before you with mixed feelings, humility and gratitude for the honor and trust the founding fathers, and shall I say, mothers of the UDP bestowed on me to lead our people, to lead a prosperous and democratic republic. But on the other hand, I am filled with sadness and regrets that most of the people, among them Hassan Musa Kamara, Thierno Fofana, Alhaji Dembo Tunkara, Aja Mama Gallo Cissé, Alhaji Ansumana Diba, Sam Silla, Yaya Jallo, my first deputy, Sidia Sanya, Okuta Thomas, Christian Davis, Femi Peters, Alhaji Mustafa Diouf, Sanayeye Bojang, Mas Job, Honorable Keba Tamba Jame, Alhaji Landin Jallo Sane, Alhaji Ibrahim Pesenjai, Alhaji Landin Dadu Jata, Moji Jallo, Alhaji Sa Alu Suleiman Jak, Alhaji Karamo Toure, Aji Jambandin Drame, Aji Fat Seka Sekom, Aji Anta Samba, Aja Horoja Ndour, Aja Sajo Kunjan Sane, Brahma Drame, Aja Mamisar, Aja Kadi Mambre, Alhaji Karamo Fati, Alhaji Suntu Dabo, Aja Kunda Kamara, Ya Salim Makalo, Suleiman Nar Sonko, Honorable Abu Karamba Kasama, Honorable Basamora, Honorable Babandin Dafe, Solo Sanden, Solo Koroma, Lam Marong, Simbul Nyasi, Honorable Fakeba Skoli, Alhaji M. Indur, Fakaba Sane, Aja Nyahandao, Alhaji Ambasi, Jahi Suso, and Amadou Kule Seka Kaula Manso have not lived to see the silver jubilee of the mass movement they gave birth to 25 years ago. May I crave your indulgence, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to kindly stand up and offer a minute of silent prayer in their memory. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the circumstances leading to the founding of the UDP made it imperative that we must measure up, not only to the demands of a pluralistic political dispensation demanded by the 21st century, but must also accept that the old politics and dogmas of the past will no longer do. The 21st century needs a new kind of politics and creates the environment for a high-energy democracy and a new tier of government that is value-adding and economically empowering. We are experiencing profound climatic changes threatening the life support systems of our planet. We are faced with a raging global pandemic that seems to mutate rapidly and is wreaking havoc on the unvaccinated. The 21st century needs a new kind of politics that creates the environment for a high-energy democracy and a new tier of government. It is within this dynamic context that I am presenting the UDP vision for the transformation of our nation. Transition our economy away from fossil energy to green and renewable energy sources. A couple of days ago, the newspapers reported that 30% or more Gambians have sunk deeper into poverty and are unable to have more than one meal a day. My question then is, what is the effect of this on the pregnant women and lactating mothers? And what about our children and youth who need healthy and nutritious diet to grow and mature into adults? Ladies and gentlemen, there have been a lot of work put into and debate on consideration and reconsideration of our manifesto, our 5-point agenda, and our website. There was excellent teamwork, consultations and verifications to get to where we are today. I thank all the members of the UDP Strategy and Policy Committee, and different sector committees for their tireless efforts. We are pleased to share with you the end product of their hard work and recommendations that have been put together by this said committee. These recommendations will ensure that government prioritizes human capital development, as this will help improve the quality of lives and livelihoods of Gambians. Our 5-point agenda focuses on key priorities that the UDP government will seriously address. It is a summary version of the various sector policies we have committed to in our manifesto on our website. We invited you all here to provide you with an opportunity to have first-hand knowledge of our ideas and ask questions about what UDP plans to offer Gambians. We will be more than pleased to respond to your questions. In the meantime, we take this opportunity to thank you for accepting our invitation to witness the unveiling of our UDP policies and to formally provide access to all the UDP websites. I want to acknowledge here the sacrifices made by Gambians in all walks of life for the past 25 years. The resilience, the commitment, and determination of the Gambian women have really sustained the United Democratic Party. It was the uneducated Gambian women that trod the roads from Brikama to Fatoto, from Pasamas to Bara. They were the people who stood up to tyranny, who stood up to dictatorship. As it has been alluded to by Oli Dibawada, the Kalama Revolution was spearheaded by the Gambian women. In the trials that we went through in this country, it was the Gambian women that filled the courtrooms. It was the Gambian women that really stood up and defied the dictatorship in this country. They showed that resilience, they showed their resilience, their determination, their commitment. And we believe that with the launching of our manifesto, of our 5-point agenda on the website, these Gambian women will continue to be the disciples, the apostles, that will go about spreading the message to the ordinary people of the Gambians, so that the quagmire in which we find ourselves today, we can be rescued from it. I want to salute all Gambian women, irrespective of their political affiliation, but more so the United Democratic Party. Great women like Aja Jambanin Drame, who faced the paramilitary in Banjul, resisted them. Great women like Sajo Kunjansane, Aja Kunda Kamara. These were the women who really made sure that the UDP survived, and they will continue to give that needed support to us. I acknowledge your contribution and I acknowledge your support. All that you have done is for your country, and your country owes you gratitude. The United Democratic Party says to Ajiyam Saka, Ajamundao Yabo, and all the women of Gambia, we say the United Democratic Party is grateful to you. A grateful party and a grateful nation acknowledges you. Our youths have also provided the necessary support. In fact, they were the backbone, the engine, the driving force. Believing in believing in the values of UDP. We had them in Madiana, they are called the Madiana 14. We had them in Tanje. We had them at Chamwe Bridge. These were the youths who stood by us. And unfortunately, one of them I mentioned just left us less than 10 days ago, the Honorable 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏. To them, to the youth of the United Democratic Party, we say the nation, the Gambian nation is grateful to you. And we believe that the younger generations of this nation will follow the history of the United Democratic Party and emulate what his people have done for their country in the past 25 years. We came across thorny paths, steep hills, muddy waters, but we pushed on, and we pushed on because you were there, and we thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, on this note, it gives me a great pleasure to officially launch the UDP manifesto, the UDP 5-point agenda, and the UDP website. I wish you all a happy anniversary. This 25th year will really show, this 25th year of UDP's existence will really show that in the next 6 months, in the next 6 years, actual transition will commence in this country. Transition to better democratic rule, a transition that will be ushered in the constitution of the constitution that was rejected by people who never believed in the values of democracy. I thank you all.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those very stirring, very inspiring words. We keep our faith in the Gambian people. We keep our faith in Gambian women. We renew our faith in the youth of this country. We hear you loud and clear, Gambia lawyer Ba. We know your brothers are in heaven smiling down on you. This struggle continues. Change will come to Gambia on 4th December 2021. Throughout this ceremony, what we have been trying to do is to introduce you to a new way of looking at political process in the Gambia. We believe that there is need for renewal of our politics. We need a politics of purpose. We need servant leaders, leaders who are willing to lay down their life for their country. Time and again, the United Democratic Party has done this. It has inquired about the orphan left in Bafoloto. It has found out about the disabled person in Basse. It has looked at the plight of our working women. These 5-point agendas, the manifesto for 2021, is clearly in a class of its own. But we are not just saying this, we are not just claiming it. We want to be held accountable to it. Mrs. Debawada has explained that in 2026, the nation, particularly the media, will have the opportunity to question Mr. Dabo on what has been delivered as far as his vision for the transformation of Gambia is concerned. But even before 2026, we now have the pleasure to invite the media to ask some questions before calling on Honorable 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, one of the leading lights of the new generation of leaders of UDP, to give the vote of thanks for this occasion. But before then, we have the Q&A. Our experts are here. The party leader is here. I am here to answer some of your questions to start this year's celebration of our Silver Jubilee. We hope that by the end of the celebrations of the Silver Jubilee, the UDP story would be heard, as you have heard it, just a snippet of it from the party leader, about the days of struggle, the dark days of despair in this land, and the hope that brighter and golden days are ahead for this Gambia. So the new Gambia is yet to be. The beautiful Gambia is yet to be born. So ladies and gentlemen of the press, this is your opportunity to quiz us, to query any part of our 5-point agenda. Of course, you may not have specific direct questions, but generally, we are now ready to ask. We are now ready for you to ask your questions, and we will be very happy to reply to your questions. So I don't know.
There's a second mic here. Anybody who needs a mic, you can take it.
Yeah, where is the Youth Secretary General, Mr. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍? There is a second mic. Can you help the media access it? Yeah, second mic is. Yes, I think there is somebody on that side. Yeah. Please tell us the media you are coming from and your name, please.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I am Usman Serikan from Gainago Online News. Okay, I have 2 questions. The first one is on human rights and transformative reforms. Can you clearly articulate UDP's position on TRC's recommendation that is supposed to be out in September, at the end of September? Because we have seen APRC call it a tissue paper that needs to be inked. So what is your stand on that? And the second one, sorry. Oh, should I wait?
No, please.
Okay, the second question is, the first speaker elaborated on corruption, but I've not seen corruption on your 5-point agenda. Will UDP government come with or establish a corruption commission, anti-corruption commission, to make sure that we have a corruption-free country in this country? Yes. Those are the questions, and thank you.
Thank you. I don't know. Should we start with the former finance minister, or should we start only exclusively with the Secretary General and party leader? Yes, I think party leader can speak from the days.
I will address specifically your first question. What one party calls tissue paper. I believe we ought to wait and see what recommendations the TRRC makes. But our history shows that the United Democratic Party is committed to protecting the rights of individuals. I have personally been involved in challenging governments, both in the First Republic and in the Second Republic, that tend to act in excess of their powers and trampling on the rights of individuals. I have done it, taken as part of my responsibility to defend those people and to enforce their rights. We have always been friends of constitutionalism and the Constitution. Any recommendation that is geared towards protecting the rights of individuals in this country, a UDP government will be the strongest partner with any institution that makes such recommendation. We'll make sure that any recommendations coming out of the TRRC, if we are in government, and I think we'll be in government, we'll implement them. Otherwise, no one will take serious decisions of government in setting of commissions of inquiry, because you set these commissions of inquiry for a purpose. And when the recommendations come out, I believe that the government, even though there are recommendations, the government should, if not legally, but morally obliged to implement them. So, for your question, TRRC recommendations, a UDP government will certainly enforce them to the letter. And we are not going to be really fencing about issues because it is politically expedient to do so. We are not going to do that. If the recommendations come out, we will definitely enforce them. And if you have legal obstacles in enforcing them, we will ask experts in other places, or legal experts, to help us circumvent those legal obstacles. And when I talk of legal obstacles, I'm talking about jurisdictional issues, like places of trial and so forth. We will ask others to give us guidance with that. And I want to echo here, and in utter agreement with the former Attorney General, Mr. Tambedu, when he says that culprits will be prosecuted. Whoever is out of the country, and if you step your foot in here, if we are in government, we'll certainly prosecute you. And I say this thing, I make this, I cannot be bothered if anybody denies me a vote, because these are principles that we believe in. And these principles we cannot really compromise because we want to get votes for somebody, or because we want to get any particular people or any particular group of people to support our election bids. Now, your thing on corruption. Now, if you look at the first page, of the 5-point agenda, you'll find that the issue of corruption is certainly addressed, and in fact, it is comprehensively addressed in the manifesto. Our grouse with the Gambian regime was that it was a corrupt government. We fought against that corrupt government, and we cannot condone corruption, and institutions that will assist in the elimination of corruption in this country will set up those institutions and will work with those institutions closely.
Where's my mic?
It's here.
Succinct, clear answers. Any other questions? I didn't know the Gambian media. Okay. Mr. Flexdan is in the house. I thought Gambian media was very aggressive these days.
Okay, let me just stand up. Thank you very much. My name is Yusuf Taylor, commonly known as Flexdan, Ghana News as well. So my first question, on the first 5-point agenda, sorry about that. On the first 5-point agenda, it speaks to youth empowerment and the empowerment scheme, but it doesn't state exactly how many jobs a UDP government will create. This is the same which I've observed with a number of points, except on the 10 specialized skills centers. And this has been also repeated in Agenda Point 1 and Agenda Point 2. So my question is this: will the UDP government commit to the number of jobs it will create so that we can see that your agenda points are measurable? My first question, measurable agenda points. How many jobs for Gambians? Then my second question, is the party leader, Honorable 𝒂𝒊𝒏, willing and ready to debate other party leaders so Gambians can make an informed decision in the run-up to the December 2021 elections? And if this does happen, it will certainly be a historic moment for Gambian politics. Thank you.
I am the UDP spokesman. I will speak for the party leader. The party leader will debate any formal process that is put in place. But if you ask Muhammad Ali to come and to box with Yusuf Taylor, You are asking the wrong question. Ousainou Darboe was the former vice president of the Gambia. He was the former foreign minister of the Gambia. He is the leading contender for the 2021 presidency. The most important debate we would want to have is with President Adama Barrow. Now, we have heard about debates in the Gambia, and it's not very difficult to win debates. You must just be able to have punchlines, sound bites. It's very easy to do that. We can do that even in our sleep. The United Democratic Party is calling for a wholesale transformation of the political discourse, because sometimes the debate can become an exercise in just who can speak English better than the other. And I don't think any Gambian seriously doubts the ability of the deputy doyen of the bar to debate not only Gambia, but anybody in the world. But I think you have asked a more fundamental question, and I would also try to respond to that. The co-chairs are here. Giving specific numbers of jobs to be created, I think is one, foolhardy, because you don't know, as we speak, what resources are available within the government infrastructure. It is on the day that you sat down and you are briefed by the technical experts, what are the low-hanging fruits first? What are the opportunities that immediately you can action and create employment? I don't know whether you have been following the UDP story. Last year, the party leader made a declaration on the Founders' Day, 23rd of August 2020, that UDP, between now and the next population census, will plant 2 million trees all over the Gambia, representing 1 tree for 1 Gambian. That exercise alone, we believe, can generate at least 20,000 jobs for Gambians across the whole ecosystem adaptation projects and programs. We hear them, we see them. Banjul is planting coconut trees. I don't know whether you have checked this out, Flex Dan, that 1 coconut seedling costs $300. If we can mobilize a youth corps, a youth company, to just be preparing seedlings so that this target 2 million trees, imagine how much money that would be put into the hands of the young people of this country. So, I mean, this presentation is to give you a broad scope of our vision as a party. We are a modernized, full throttle engine that is going to go to any length to create livelihoods. Look at the creative industry. The likes of Brikama Boyo, the likes of G, the actresses, the likes of Gina Bass. All these young people can find a meaningful life in the creative and cultural industries of our country. So these are all areas where we believe there are low-hanging fruits and productive and fulfilling jobs could be created. So numbers we will be able to give to the media within the first 100 days. I believe Mr. Cisse and Mrs. Dibawada have explained that point, that we will have a delivery unit that can measure these pledges. They are measurable, they have been costed, but you cannot do that just grabbing in them from the air. We also want to introduce this idea of reinventing government. Reinventing government in the sense that government never has money. It's actually the people, through their taxes, that give government money. Once that money is collected by government, whether it's through GRA or through other mechanisms, that money should be invested. We should not be just a consuming economy. The economic life of a nation depends on investment. You heard the party leader say that we are transitioning away from a fossil fuel economy. Renewable energy, green energy sources, these are all opportunities to create employment, and they are going to be in the thousands. So to answer this question precisely, our manifesto has gone into a lot of detail to find out where are these low-hanging fruits. Because if you want to green Gambia, you probably would not need a lot of development assistance, but you will be in a position to do it, within your own resources. Fundamentally, we must learn to live within our means. If you have that kind of government, investment and development of an economy would be relatively easy. So I hope this has answered your question. Yes. Kamarabako.
Assalamu alaikum. Tewode be nyininkaro kela mandinka kawana kadu na piaro nene ufonyele ko nga party leader nyininka ni mandinka kawana wale be bedel. Kumata bake purka sanyi mwani lulo jura. Adu sanyi mwani lulo party leader ya funya na kole atale amankino sone yako. Ani hani kanye lunsi faso ufana mansone ya but alhamdulillah. But party leader ila party yo dingolu war bankol dingolu late ila kuma kanwala bi membe be fo kanjang na angale kamballo ila wo chairmano mu ya longo ni tatante la fatoto ni tata ba floto ani yo chairwu manon ano funding kol milalo ko jama e be la party yo to e mankara wol be fanje la nyin kono nyaadi le katu jama e ka fole karal nal natale kan kudeta woto wo fo ila chairmano le prase koyko e dabi je le foy datigi.
Kamaraba imimbara ngalong loya babe jabi la le nyinin karo.
Kamaraba men foto nyalong kajal men kata janta be kata ngale kanto bare wakachal kono ngaye tandi musole long lo nya menke UDP ani funding kyodo adon nganye fakawa ko nye musolu nye lebitala kunu iteleta da bi fanan sinin itelefana bitala banko beka kafo banku dingle UDP la lonka momenti adu UDP la lonka be kelementi ngol fa janto dubab kanto ibitale banda itelim funding kala ko bi mbato nyamen ko bi ko te ano nyamen kantora timo le bijeto nanya 5-point agenda ni iba fo kamole jeto kat mole tarta mole bo timo ko no mel tarta ni strategy committee ni to na manifesto iba fo le yabita même fo no le wala website ko ni ba même ko mayata 5-point agenda ni manifesto ni bi iba fo kande wato wati janim bi be sila fanan wa ngani lo na ka ko ni mbekala bi nina kachal kono nkafo moli memu na 5-point agenda ti kombe nyine kala jara kende abundala londo bundala banko la fanko bundala so nyemu ko ultima ron ka ko ni bela ba kono adem be continue la fanan ka akmolo kesen yandi modie me jakal ko soto dame ne nyinin karol ke ila jakalo ni msabo no nyoto bana mange ni ka ko nyina ka ko teleta patio nyinte tel mo dan tan le bijando adu mo dan tan lo ma ka ko be idea ni kuma ni ba awaf kan wala ma ni ko marchandise no kuma ka ko ba awaf kan ba la melma wala mu ni muske bal mela ko be sanyang ibe kunjur ibe felen koto ibe karawan sambasira ba awaf la wala ma adu ba awaf la men kan nela wala ikakan melfo bandika kan surwa kan fula kan jola kan serere kan anin sara fula kan so ite tula koma ite tuna la koma kadi ko ni ko be tula koma woton tella toro janta man nafa soto. I hope no la ngela jagro ken.
jërëjëf Secretary General Party Leader laajte bi mooy woon rek ne tey waxtaan bi ñu ngi ko defan ci angale angale yu ñu fi wax angale yu takku lañ angale yu rëy lañ waaye ndax waa UDP doomi UDP ñi nga xam ne du ñoo làkk angale dinañ dégg li Party Leader bi wax Party Leader bi tontu nag ci soose ne dégg la li jotaay la boo xam ne dañ ko taxawaloon tey pour màggal bési juddu parti bi ak wone suñ manifesto pour 2021 wone tamit suñ 5-point agenda bi dafa mel ni da nga am marchandise su fekkee yaa ngi ko bëgg a jaay waa Talkunda li waa Talkunda di laaka loolu nga ko wone ñu ngi amoon ay diplomate su ñëwoon waaye fu mu nekk waxtu bi fu mu nekk moom macha allah dafa jeex sax moo tax xëj na laajte yi duñ mun a continuer waat Mr Tombong Sedi suñ foreign affairs secretary bi moom ma woon ne ma time bi jeex na moom gan yim invite on ñooñu ñu ngi nii di dem doxali yeneen soxla waaye li Party Leader wax mooy rek ci gàttal ne am na suñ team ñoom administrative secretary bi ak campaign manager bi ak yeneen ndawi UDP ñu nga ba Kantora tey seen waxtaan dem na ñëw na affaire yi manifesto bi la affaire yi 5-point agenda bi la ak suñ Silver Jubilee anniversary bi moom Party Leader bi li mu wax li ci gën a am maanaam mooy ne jigéeni Gambia amal na leen njukkal sargal na fi suñ national president bi Aji Yaamu Ndaw Jeyaabo sargal na tamit deputy party leader and deputy secretary general Aji Mariam Baboucarr Seka wone na ne jigéeni Gambia ak ndawi Gambia ñoom ñoo tax démocratie dellu si waat Gambia ñoom ñoo xeex ci Kalama révolution bi ñoom ñoo def njàmbaar ya boo xam ne àddina nga koo wax ba tey kon suñu mbokk yi ak suñu xarit yi ak suñu naataango yi fi teew ñu ngi leen a jaajëfal ñu ngi leen a gërëm di leen santa ci seen teewaay di leen wax ne suñ programme bi li ci des mooy ajaratu Yakumba Jayte mu ñëw gërëm leen sant leen bu baax ci turi secretary general ak party leader bi Alaaji Ousseynou Dabo ak executive am bi di jërëjëf di jaajëfal tamit suñ co-chairs yi Mrs Olidiba Wada ak Mr Larry Cissé ci liggéey bu rafet biñ fi def baɗigol Yakumba Jayte kana UDP la ayon leydi kana baali ya limbara ala baraka. Honorable Yakumba Jayte, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tal. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, Party Leader, Honorable Ousseynou Dabo, United Democratic Party executives, members of the Diplomatic Corps, all protocols duly and respectfully observed. I have the honor and privilege to give the vote of thanks, but I think Almami just did that with his conclusion. To the Gambia, my beloved country, this is it. This is the United Democratic Party. Today, we have the opportunity to present to you our agenda, our manifesto. We are doing this truthfully, no fake promises. We're doing this truthfully. I like the answer Almami gave to Mr. Fleck's question about the number of jobs we are going to create. We are not going to say 100,000 jobs. We are not going to say 200,000. We are not going to promise you a creation of a sovereign wealth fund. What we are going to do is going to be based on truth. It's going to be based on policy, law, and strategy. We are going to do this in all honesty, and we guarantee you transparency and accountability. This is what we are going to do. This country needs a system change, and UDP is going to build this system. We are ready, we are committed. And this is an example. I present to you, we are going to do this. I present to you our most trusted leader, Honorable 𝒒𝒐𝒊𝒏. With everything they say, and I repeat, an emphasis added to this, with everything they say to him and the United Democratic Party, one thing you do not hear is 𝒒𝒐𝒊𝒏 is corrupt. And I think this is the most important thing. Because if you say it's about tribalism, it's very hard to prove this. If you accuse someone, though, of corruption, you have to bring out the evidence. And there is no evidence in existence of these gentlemen being corrupt. And I think that's the foundation of everything. The United Democratic Party, in delivering these promises, first, we are going to curb corruption in this country. This is one thing we are going to do. We are going to invest in our youth and our women. This is the plan. And we are going to achieve this because we have the capacity in the United Democratic Party. Because we have the integrity in the United Democratic Party. And because of this integrity, we are going to create bankable projects. And the diplomatic corps is here, and these projects will be sponsored. We are going to maximize our resources by curbing corruption and using these monies to invest in our youth, invest in our agriculture to create the jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the United Democratic Party. To the vote of thanks, I would give equal thank yous, starting from His Excellency, President-in-Waiting 𝒒𝒐𝒊𝒏. He would have the same thank you to the last man in Koina watching us. Equal thank yous to everyone who has supported this process, to everyone, those who are here, those that lost their lives in the fight, we remember them. Equal thank yous to each and every one. Equal thank yous to each and every Gambian. We appreciate your support and we promise we are going to deliver. Thank you.
Well, I try to do what 𝒒𝒐𝒊𝒏 does. Try to do everybody's job and so everybody's work. The one and only Yakumba Jaite. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming today. We are very grateful for the time you've spared with us today. Now we have the pleasure to call up and conclude this session for a group family picture. Kemo Bojang is saying that we should have a family picture outside in front of the Sadar Jawara International Convention. Thank you very much. What?
I understand. Because out of the whole media, this is a shame. Huh? I keep back on water. Because we carry on yard finger that in Caron. Thank you. I think I've never met you before. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your name?
I'm 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍.
And we've met before, no? Is this the first time?
I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, but your question was very good, and that is it. I think it is my party though, but these are the hard questions. So I have to put it on those.
Not only,
Yeah.
questions that
For me, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, I will ask them questions that favor me, but journalists should come out. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity.
We don't have to use it,
They have to come.
Direct.
Exactly.
The problem, many journalists, we don't write our question.
I was seeing you writing down. Oh my God. But that's right. It was well articulated. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Is one gonna be for mine? Can I have one? Thank you. Everything is okay. Assalamu alaikum. Anyway. alhamdulillah baɗigolu aliya jale a kumata baki a bi ñillugo kana ka pati lira waran pati wala hammin kolu is the mic okay? Doctor, congratulations baraka bake do ko ñara commissaire pati o freda ñin tembor ngaje ba duna freda tembo mo do fayni duna la stagnola so do ko la ñiña comme ngak sono ñinin gaade bari mu fe nakko sono man jaabi a ñama bari yimune understand je si même din fono jamol si même
well nse min foy wala mu ko ñimu launch leti dorom bari mbe nga programme le soto contract soto ni radio station ol ani online platform ol min bitala fo January ñing fengo fembe manifesto to fengo fembe 5-point agenda to nimmol ba kachala nin kamol belal. Right now, nga contracts of Gunjur Radio, Brikama FM, Basse Station, or Bansang Paradise, annual bay. Be molle sotola minu involved in dedato. Ibe akachala ninkangol bela. Ndum be ole wala fojani election be sila. Pour moli ya long tengu mimbebe nyinkon. Bi launch lamu ani Friday mola nangake English dorong. Bari wolle be tarla kering kakumas bila molbe moila na radio station oltol.
Kewda kumara bake pour kawo itande isinin kumu pour kanyimbe franfansi isi hakilol tunna programme mul mulbita isi lamoy wolla wato bela radio to anin television ol nina whatsapp ol kamin dol kundunda kaftandima
to nyalla mumbe akatala atol fa be lori nyebunda bal ka atol le ka tinna be fengo fenna moli akalamta bari mba wala radio to le mba wala online platform ol to le ndumbe kangol bele usla kanyimbe explain bari minnu fana ka reading keno ni tata internet to udp.gm ni manifesto bijele 5-point agenda bije mi sa download di fangola fonol te ka jube ni lafta nga fengo fe explain yembe akatala nga ke
bake docteur minani kacha fanu le nyato inshallah assalamu alaikum yalla bundama ko fankola karola bake nyinto adum mamire nyenda tarla kayti koma me ya lonko atiki ko dila gambian ko la katu ani économique ko dunda do man nyodo do ni debe radio do dron mo be kelam hani minte fe abe balanna bandal bara nganyoto ko to nyaay kamen folom kuti yamina nyin hammin ko liye men chori aben tilindi la min tole ma fo patio bar gambia
kamara bay nimbara bake mbe gambianol be kontonna ñimmo ala tentoleti nin ala bala ne bonati lefe mandu aka sababu leke ante liaji ke ko UDP mu gambe la sababu kendeleti nin ala sonta ala ju senda wala presence abe gambe wati lale abe fankol be yurwande lale abe banko yurwande lale nin manifesto namol jamale la londol kafu nyoma la experience ol kafu nyoma melbe gambia melbe bantala banko ding melbe la banko kan ko nyantan na banko bondela be al halo men kono kadum bita kan din kole kono so londo men kafu nyoma isaje ku senunno abe yurwa dun de la banko kan fanko la karola senola karola ntekela ko bimbe mento namol ben kuma la ko e man jambando soto e be sama te ma jambando man soto banko kan e man trakitol soto no anyam so wo sifa wo na solete banko e anen do bal fam den jata kenda bunda fana do ko membe kelaje abe bam ko mol na fala nta folam meta ambulance londe la sila baka ngasi ni accident ken e be moto londe la jangalo e si curriculum si lokan to man do ne ala inde accident ken wo mu jele quality i nyanta borol dunde la l'hôpital ko e ñanta l'hôpitanol sembentu yalla like la Bansar Referral Hospital para feñer hospital basse ye fenkodun je ICU create je ye A&E create je wol mawol dodo sota
bara on rebula kumara pour que ambulance so kadu wadi so non kabir ambulance ko kela quality a ce political party a lotale ali ay tandi ko man sekunda nyanda ka ambulance on nadle sa yi be nyimi ambulance do mi kamel londi silo kan woni atel be lafring ambulance sotor nya sifa nyaade
ambulance o londi silo ka wo mu jele fand ni tata bankol mil developta inene te aussi fajela ni mo politiko doroneti ka fa mo le ngan la ambulance o londi la bundal ni sasa tambe bulandi la je mo manke kute l'hôpital le nyanta ambulance o soto ha communities nyol health center nyol and then sign communication o be nyan ni sol tata da me ambulance o nyanta fuel soto la e fengol soto journal soto ay taw couranto tara ay asamba bari ñim politique fenko hanim bakela silawo sila kan nem bakela ñi sare jannale sar jan sare ñol to silol mambete watu dol motol fangte borno la wolka so UDP ba jelale ko na health system o ay betea banko mol la jata kenda nga wo fasa boroli soto doctorol ye train na specialist ol soto katun kujama wije ni sasata e kata Dakar lomba wara ni mel ya soto yeta bantala banko so mel ma soto dum ado wole mo jamati Gambia to so wolbi janne so etel meña tili wala ka banko la health system yurwan fo asi banko mol nafa mari kata nyim politique dépensol ke molle
muna na alla chodir bulo ala dandi point lulola nyim banko wartele mi alon ka foko asisi am woni talulu ba muna na tele lulo nyin tombong wokono
ha yalon hanen korda ni lafta be development to mando ka folo bonkile nela yena bundo wulen yena doke nyin kuol membe be manifesto kono atata fo sector tanni woro bulanyo bari wo manda wala bari naaje nga lulo tombo wolo nga nyaatili wala folo katum soto dang e ka wala fananjube nin ko e benyin tanni woro wulo membe be manifesto mba be kala wati kile to mando abekala modol la talin leti ntel dum mantar talin si mendo kuno me ya lon ko banko si nyaatili ngano ngaji ke ko si falindiro keno ala asi banko mol nafa nyin force 100 days oto wala ken de ngani lulo tombo o tanni woro wulo kono ko be wolle folo takila bara manke ko be darna o doronal
e tel kemele fo fodum e nyali yo takido molbo wo jelele ban fodum wala be kelal
nin ala sonta o tili keme folo molba jelale ko nyilde sobe ya natal katum kunko ni ba senala nin timpo bulata balinkono ay dabo sabar e ka suute le ko nyim men do kulale de
abarka bagi kadi la executive la ko bela da his excellency abarka baki ngamra minanyu fanundilale kasika kachala to atel gamben ko ala baraka baki ko mi nga faale nyamen don camera ba official ba telle jang alhamdulillah nyin keda kuti mi alon ka ko mayata baki kuma kan nyi nyata betata tembeta adun asiblamon mom sorry Alhaji Adam Naam, salaamaaleykum. Naam. Anon te say man remer ko nak mobile cleaner dina nan tan. Fenk. Billahi. Ay billahi. Adu mobile cleaner ne develop ko say. Nenu la fay yende dal ya sen ko. Andi bara ko fi tala say na te no bal na dal so be tar obe fast fin. Ah. Ako. Dole tay ni musen na tan la ka fu. Say. Ah, okay. Al bala ngani. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. So you know kumara party leader la no mo ñoo fulolu ali anti mayjele anti salifana njele ay benara pour kana kanyin hammin ko chodro ke menna pour que danda odo pour que tendu ke jay ke nimbar wado watini be lori ke ma fe bankolo nyaato tato pour france cede abe kuma kam men fola bay telma kullo nyot odo abe kuma la bake e koy buga diam bar bi be diamulale e fele ñoju bari hana man jampa bari bidun say ko sono be sujala bari so ale bunya jele akon ya damba mbijate sidiam bari bidu nade ti may bijandro assalamu alaykum anti may hammin ko wol felenti ye bulol chodi menna ilate la usen la ko ye usen mellon abole di la gamben ko laba
lata wala ala fokumo anene ma bayi naye min fo akabara wala foro lemu misil mo lemu tonya fola lemu aka dobal fasa baki
albe lola useni fele ban kadu gambe be tinyari mbakere pour ko gambe lo atel be kala mu musisi valati pour kaje ko ay même fo kabri 1994 kuma jamal le vale mimbal kongol kono ka hakilo bulena atel be kala mu musisi valati
ntol birabe koryare abe during ya jame jamano be loring afe andu be continue la wala andu lata nyina ko gambia dingol December 4 iba tambindilale andu ni woketa albe gambia kutoje la nga faale no naspi doko ko gambia be kela di Singapore of West Africa wobe sotono la UDP la masakunda ko do under the leadership of lawyer 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏
awro kuma ta bage pour ka je ko musol le fambe parerim pour kalo e kema ko ma kaje ko ay me fefenillahi di doron na
lafta gambia dingol be ya lonko 𝒂𝒄𝒏 misil me hakan aketa moti me ya lonka dan kene yata ya sorontu momena ay kara sebasi janin tol nabe nyojela wadina na nyoje folo ay min folo nyininka akoni alina alqur'ano natinye nka min kala linga suba asali o ko la kontole ko alkanata amor wo moria mbesil indame alale en sindi jang ala donne simbondi no jang so momo lota ka foko atata fure ko ngolli ka safeol keje 𝒂𝒄𝒏 𝒂𝒂𝒏
anti may telebe diamola du yitelen diamo bu kole 𝒂𝒄𝒏 be diamola lummenna itata karsaba kola 𝒂𝒄𝒏 ko alina alqur'ano nati adum malla faleta kula morolia 𝒂𝒄𝒏 yewle foyte iya on record
ay wole foñe akonye ko alla sali kulo nal salita al sisi ale douane bari marbula moriala ala le sindi jang ala le bondi jang so momo tata moriala kata wandi furor wulindi amari yake afawe 𝒂𝒄𝒏 ala musu mabulala adingu mabulala ala bading mabulala party executive mabulala amari yake afawle
kuma da bakele pour kaje ko 𝒂𝒄𝒏 muso nyin kuma kan fo mi alo wala na kacha diara wake sometimes kala bordal barintel kamara bakay ke mo be dabula jelom fegele mille na honorable yeah
kamara ba munana ni fota ngi
bila fota indola assalamu alaikum bi ye alpha bado wiri ila lodula ye menta kaje ko nyimpati welo men kede fon fat ngalo ne media nak ma fo manke teriti bari komi ka kinele bula alpha le prediam barabe kuma la bi ko keba jamme wolle nyimpati wona dum bi 𝒂𝒄𝒏 yi be tofo bi kabra tofo mune borte bala
mbalati yotamata e to nyafo kabra tofo mbalati yotamata ala do ko ning ye silome yari ito manna mabe woro bari ntol be jang alhamdulillah debe jan do mabe jam bakar jam mabe tama ka fo ka duwani kebale drom ye cholo menteni ala son tamba make sure la ko ni succeed baraka bak
sewda baki pour at least one 1 second soto assalamu alaikum and national president aje yamundaw yabo bi ngalje albe nganya siring ini pati deputy mengeda adiyam sekati albe siring albe nyinyara hakilo be tenkunding albe nganyari mune annabi al nganyat
alhamdulillah rabbil alamin mbe nganyala katu momi sita foye sanyi mo ni lulu soto anim bata sanyi be wo bata jela abe jikane albe kelo minna abe naati ne domola fo nga konta nga nganya katu fango fen history bije history na be satala itambita ni minna ya sata akadia e binte jiso sumiyata babake ha katu ngamin kata nyimpati yokono ya bele sata jam woto alhamdulillah rabbil alamin be fondin kel ya marila fondin kel ye bulano ma alfale samba be min danila na samato abe dami la fita jele ko itolia samba le fo faw ntewe wole do ala
assalamu alaikum abaraka bake ndani yale be padili la jini kala ko son dindela nalo ngabe kumala bake yes His Excellency, congratulations. Sanyumani Lulu, ibe kafo nyaato fuka futa nyin temboto. Ila kuma dol kono kaitandi ko sanyumani Lulu nala alale ala benterlandami. Bantel be douala aitar baluri. Ila fta yemule tu Gambian kolu bulu. Ning itebe rita ala politiko kono.
Lafta mbemu la Gambian kolu wolon kilimbaya na Gambia to a united country. Kadi fagniaje fanni election oten na slogan momenti for a united Gambia. So on lafta kole to Gambian kole bulu. Wala be yirwanat la banko kan, wala be tankunat la banko kan. Banko ni banko dingil manka kilenti. Nyato tabu kasot no jeto. O foundation ba lafta kole londi janto, lafta kole to Gambian kole bulu. Adon ngaje nyamen UDP kolu wali si sofa wala le adu UDP ko ni si sofa fenfenna bi isalongo wala Gambian ko la muta fenke
amana minan kacha fanundira le wat kilindola yes, journalists will fall down. It always happens in conferences. You see journalists will fall down. Mayor Talib Ahmed Bensouda, we are in your municipality or your neighbor. Just right outside. So what is your take? Are you happy in this agenda? Because you have your own agenda. But are you happy in this agenda? And what is your take?
Of course, I'm very happy. The party just launched its manifesto and 5-point agenda and its website. This is a proud moment. This just shows that the United Democratic Party has a vision, has a plan. And 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒏 just laid out the history of the party, many of whom have fallen, have sacrificed for the party. That's why we're here today. But also it's about the future and tomorrow and what UDP has to offer Gambians. So we are very happy that it's been launched. You can all visit udp.gm and the manifesto is available for all to see what UDP has to offer Gambia and how 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒏 as president will be.
Thank you so much. Oh, assalamu alaikum. Yalo mo be na de yale represent ade hammin kol mil fo malo dula jumale bije mi alonko wala duntete bala du tela mol sula da menna ila elara
baraka bake mtela mol sula da menna anim demendo dundantela bake wala mu local governance and decentralization wala kam man secondary wol sembentu ya anin ka sembo membe mansabul santo ka jindi nan dumalan ko la futema wolante ko kula dundantela domanding because ni na la jube bri presenter nyi ay out of banke même mu olidiba wadati wo mu kukuma balde because Gambia o bankote yirwano la ni sembo mamuru mol fonkan ni lafta mol yirwan le ka ke fanan karafa sembo la le ba ni sembo be dula kilinto ibayla mol bu ke fanje do ko nyin kono so ni sembo nyin jindi maralo ka sone yale akati na meni fale be maralila ifanan daka tara do ko nyin kono pour ka banko yirwandi so ko kuma batale adun ngaje ko to la UDP government nana tam be sembentu yala kaje ko sefolu alkalolu mus kansulolu area kansulolu sembo murla wala kan isaje nunto comme abe nyamen alkalo ka ni ko mbe sambala alkalia ikaw je kuma balti ikaje ko nindara alkalia alkalo be kidio men kala na me febo kam mole maloti bi ni hani ko mo en kata kuma ndawle abuke faale bi hani ko mo en kata report chef wala abuke faale ni ko mo en kata report minister ame faale yo so bari ni ngo sembo murundi wol kan ngaita ni wala kuma ya be nyamen adu wol fanan la lord la yata bi ko ni ajube chef wol kan ma ko roke bakale kaje ko molier namo jo alkalo kan ma ko roke bakale kaje tan molier namo jo bi wo symbol talata wo ferol talata atina symbol chefol bukay molu kanino namo fawla pour ita namo jo masakunda la rankeson so we kole akol samanan bar comme nin tol nata comme nyafo nyamen o symbol le murla moli faham rosoto ko chefol le lod la sotle ye buña sotle alkalo le lo yan sotle ye buña sotle e da kanso le lod la sotle ye buña sotle den mol sinana o buña tamani marlo sam murwol kan moli mara moli la lod lata so wolente madal
baraka bake na chamano mi alon ko elara chamano la elara honorable Thank you. Na député honorable Nyomboni. Kodi, it's director what you said. Anyway, honorable Mbalbe congratulate la adon tel fana mu député wolti milan ko hammin kol dol fajangalo ne woni banko la loi dol fana bitalale bar bi ite mune jeñing hammin chodiri hammin bundalto milan ka foko jele mu itela kanudula
baraka bake kamara ba ni yajibe ñing UDP la manifesto ndenga mira ninkombe chodi dula soto abe kole ala mbulle bake bayring ibebe lorin kulel kamma me alonko wala mu banko la samba nyaati niamo banko samba nya kendo walel musinkirol ta nyanta lola menu kan ni yajibe birim 5 point agenda nyinem fo manifesto nyimbe UDP ya jibele ko maral nya kendo si keno fen ferendindi UDP wolel be kafu nyoma kayitandi ko UDP man sakunda be tamala o kangol le kamma woto ning arta ko kombe kiling tala woto abe kole ala mo bake ngamira nyimbe mu kuleti me alon ko e be mu nyedde nyedalati me alon ko defana lafto wol bari ande kabarba mbaru ngani opportunity ta nga Gambia dingol tentu yalong biring nyim mansakunda kuto nada molia silo nte fa nga silo soro num demanding kadu nyim mansakunda e me yitandi molla wala nyindi ko ite be tolbe molle sanna ya mire ko dol sodole so dol ka fale ko gambianol man foreya so jama ya mira ko isi mol sannole e la kodolla kodi mol me alon ko man senea bar gambia dingol sile na tayitandi gambia belal ko Gambia dingol mu molleti men yalon ko ila fras maral nya kendo la maral nya tilindu o yati na Gambia dingol la majority i bebe paredi menna wala nyindi ko i fongola parti ya sponsor bari i malla fi politician wol fonko ko do dila pour que tol bribe wala ke korab oto Gambia din kendol men be nyi jer nya kendoje du karembe be danila mbe nga o mutam bulu futanni fulola nga continue wala isaje si mansakunda soto me alon ko abe kala mansakunda kendol da ata korabla
okay mansakunda kendo me alon ko ata korabla honorable yo mbe kaccaani mba fanondi la bar bi bari laftan mo be cabat na ñe oli dibalo ma bet oli diba mo ño oli diba ñom ñoo nek technical team ñom ñoo nek yep so dama buga on record ne 200 days suñ amee United Democratic Party government ndax lii dinañ ko yëg
di ngeen door di gis changes yi sax balaa booba because fu mu nekk nii ñu ngi am ñun UDP youth yëpp they were going to do an operation Know Your Manifesto. Everybody will have access to it. And then suñ action
dama bëgg nga wax ak suma yaay comme koo xam ne demut school.
ok léegi fu mu nekk nii ñun wax nañ ne ñu ngi launch nañ manifesto bi léegi manifesto bi ñu ngi dem pour génne ko pour nit yi yëpp xam dinañ dem Banjul ba Koyna ñu wax nit yi ne lii ngeen ñu waxoon ne moom ngeen bugga lii lañ leen indil ndax kontaan ngeen si lii ak lii lañ bugg a def waxtu bii lañ ko bugg a def kii mooy lead pour def loolu lañ bugg a def pour nit yi manifesto bi contract la diggante UDP government ak Gambians pour ne leen ñëw nañ dinañ def lii balaa 2026 dinañ régler ndaw yi dinañ régler suñ yaay yi ak suñ raka yi ak suñ doom yi nga xam ne ñu ngi faatu ci lopitaan yi pour di jur dinañ jàppale suñ xale yu jigéen yi dinañ am zero tolerance on violence against women all forms of violence against women so dinañ make sure ne suñ xale yi suñ jigéen yi xam nga duñ jël advantage si ñoom ne because jigéen lañ dañ bugg a jigéen yi nekk góor dañ bugg a jigéen yi dem ci dellu ci faro yi dañ bugg a jigéen yi ñoo amee économie bi ñoo nekk ci marché yi ñoo nekk fu nekk dañ bugg a dëgëral fu nekk nii dañ bugg a dëgëral suñ xale yu ndaw yi nga xam ne dellu si nañ jógee xam nga jógee ci ñu dem through Mediterranean bi xam nga dem through dangerous route boobu ci géej gi am na ñu si gis seen morom yi faatu egga nañ ñooñu ñu dellu ba egga ba foofu ñu deport leen delloo si waat leen fii gouvernement bi defut benn provision pour xale yi ñoo delloo pour make sure ne integrate nañ leen ci biir society ci biir nit yi gis nañ ay ndaw yu dellu si waat frustrate rey seen yaay xam nga loolu yëpp musuta am Gambia fii loolu lañ bugga pour nit yi soo nekkee sa biir kër jarut nga am fence bu rëy.
gis naa ne tam si sa wax bi yaa ngi wax comme affaire teacher won tey day mel nii suñ dañ ko respect ko léegi boobu amut da ngeen ne tey da ngeen a indi boobu baax
dañ bugg a teacher mooy coach dañ koo jàngal mu nekk coach mu nekk mentor pour xale yi waaye dañ bugg a mu jàngale boo xam ne dafa open xam ne yow ni nga jàngee dafa utee man ni maa jàngee even though si benn classe bi lañ lekk mu make sure ne teachers yi make sure ne xale yu ndaw yi yëpp ñu ngi xalaatal seen boppa di explorer seen boppa pour ñoom ñu mun a am seen own xam-xam rather than teacher bi di leen wax ne lii la war a def lali la war a def teaching profession bi dañ ko devalue bi jaratu dara dañ bugg a fu mu nekk nii pour ñu amaat teachers yu baax ñu qualify ba pare dañ bugg a am teacher training college teacher mentors and all of that so loolu lañ bugg a pour teachers yi.
kon xaaral ma bàyyi la rek tey kay ku nekk dinaa la laal.
jërëjëf Camara
Ba thank you so much I appreciate everything. yakuma musolu ko yakuma be war support bari nyindindu bari mbukala kango moy aka angale kango fu yakuma wolu ngai kamune fonu gambian kolie bisi demande dim fone mune adna wolu altara lo dula parti dol bije GPP GDC bije APRC bije you know all other political parties milan ko bije ma understand ko man sakunda e parti o men lo wol manna dindingul damani tara mune o kuma yande mune atna itato
man sakunda manhanye wala tinay manna bari ya lo Camara Ba na mandinga ka man sene ya bari nga bari ndata lu je pour ka mol yitandi na police mun UDP be munekela ninga governmento ta women musol dindingol aning yursol la karola dañ demoon I'll go into wolof pour waxtaan wax leen UDP lan nañ amal te loolu tam moo ñu indi fii tey pour ñu wax suñ manifesto bi wax suñ toogee lan nañoo defal jigéen ñi ak xale yi ak ndaw yi parce que ñii ñoo amee réew bi UDP nag pare na pour liggéey ak jigéen yi liggéey ak xale yi liggéey ak youth si invest in them loolu nañoo def dañoo invest suñ xeexee corruption bem génna réew mi alal bim am muy alal bi si natural resources yi muy alal bi si taxation bi dinañ génnee corruption bi nga xam ne ñu maximize resources yi ñu am enough alal boo xam ne dinañ ko mun a dugal si liggéeyi ndaw yi ak jigéen yi lii nañ pare ba Gambien bu nekk nga yëg sa boppa si nguuri UDP loolu nañ fi dige di loolu lañ diggee keroog loolu na ñoo digge tey di leen wax ne réew mi suñ ko jëlee dinañ ko teg si yoon dinañ indi système change bi ñëpp di wax UDP dina fi def système boo xam ne mu nekk beneen nguur sax bu ñëw système boobu doo ko mun a dindi parce que réew bi dafa tegu si yoon ba pare lii nañ amal doomi Gambia yi lii nañ leen éene te lii nañ leen di defal.
duñu wax victory la kon keroog yooyu am about 60-something%, over others. Xanaa boobu yang maa wone ne UDP will be on top.
Waaw loolu Camara Bah 60-something% bi ma am noonu exactly that I am confident will translate lawyer Ousainou Darboe noonu lam leen di dóoree rest of the opponents ami si election bi inshallah loolu nañ gis te loolu nañ éene inshallah te dina am yàlla mu jàppale ñu.
Jërëjëf honorable alay Karim Touré niya jentete bulala pour yeta ngalon ne be haw jaring war bar bidu niya jente bulala pour yeta niya jel lafta pour ngal lojang lafta le pour sa lonko 2022 jang nin kumu Afrique wara dunia be la dina bungol comme OIC summit avec la jande adum tel sonda ko o buña usen dagole basoro so do jandi nga futo wato la si londi folo ñi hammi ko ñele milnati ay fondin ko la fannaluma al yamoy UDP bi ta kun kaneba
Camara Bah 5-point agenda UDP la sanyu mone lulo juraro Camara Bah UDP la taku yalong UDP ni bita kan ifan buka bita kuka eke la moy molel nga mo jamala je men botanam patiol e ko patiol men ta kan bari me da hafande ina ra UDP la noma woto ni be ko kan ifan do biye kasike fan do yamam bita kan ko wala ta kan ko bari menul man tane la ko kono nol ko kata ko bita kan ko kel nga mol je men yalan ko botan nan president wa kampoto woluma ateri terle da dum manse a femme manse a do fombe bold e ka fale buta opposition ya do tan manse ya ba kam manse bala kana opposition ka wala jiko wala yida go opposition la ko do jiko bije pa man ina da mamme bak do be silo kan ate amangela ngala ko fofula man finde folo bar camera ba bonda mamme bak do fona be silo kan ya famle so UDP apita kan ko be tumo me yalan ko adam baro silo bula ma fo don mansas le mo ha ndela adam baro ngabula non ko hani me murla konko ni batani ko le kan bande bulale noma way dande ko bita kan ko ken men ka fu usen daba ko ani ma UDP lo ina UDP nyinen ka UDP e silo so me tara kam men usen ya hakilo do woleto abugo silo bula sanji mon nin fe biya fole amadou koranyol nyin alfal men na day patio lo la tatala ay dolte balulum bi usen ne namol ni okende amanke ndebe diyama kan wallahi amadou kora na kebalam amadou kora na kebalam wadu wad na yo
ali to kala na de be den tani moto la let
afele na honorable bi ko abida kan la femme fula be siya kan ne
ye bar fonte auto karim me ko kacha ko
men ka ko
roy malik lo fana representative fotina jang ay say Camara Bah ma interview ici à côté ñola na deputy mayor min keda Omar Touré bi fama tofo e lo lal milita adu banjul fanan ye hamin ko le soto yal fanje ñing ferol kono ba
nem fanje ñim ferol to ba kile Camara Bah wato wade rek ni plateforme du nan ka fo le baraka parce que ila via sol siata le machallah te alma la fala Camara Bah yedo ko baleke United Democratic Party anin Gambia fo be anyway nem fanje ba kele ntel funding kewol ne jiko soto le bi parti leader e mum fo ne jiko soto le nem fanje ko to ba kele te ala yake fana yafo nyame na wululal la do ko anin Gambia din kendol la do ko be wolle continue la ha bi ko diamu nyim bala fa warta mol hamol nyanta gena waralal ne jiko gena warata parce que United Democratic Party toron ne si nyum kuma si fal fono Gambia te mote kuma lala kan te na londo tiol sotole na fero sotole na kodi tiol sotole na sifa bele soto mul yalon ko mol si mol bondino fentole tel ni mol difference mun na wolon rek parti leader mul ba dala isi kutu tenole sa bondino kutole bari anin dol farata wolela te nyin Gambia bita nyatole inshallah bitale be damen ten re parti leader la fero na la ku jamal le dunta wala to ñun conference center ten so ku jamal de ka fole ne Ousainou Darboe Gambian kol ya jo senu dabo hako na Gambia noma Gambia tita nyaato den te kanyum fole wate ha ate mbe lol to ten ala yalong nata na boss represent mobe yalo no ka bolo man diama ni watol duwa ka yala ma ala ya sujara kende yala nata mfango parce que tel bele den tan nan te fona mu parti dingoleti although na office responsibility but mu parti dingoleti I'm very proud ka tara United Democratic Party ka fo mobe na nyim parti to nyim parti barakari ngo nyim parti londi ti jamal nyim parti ham ti jamal ha
barka bake pour kanela time wes ngalon be doko wato la pour kana close lo mesoto ko barka bake fo watito coming programme o nying namba close kan sign alia jele melora le jang conference center de Sarauda Karaba Jawara Conference Center me alonko the OIC summit nyanda kela woleto ate mela wolebe kela 2022 bande sondako alaji Hussein Dabo wolebe host la adu inshallah alaji Hussein Dabo wolebe kela wo mansa kede membe host la assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah telemil be kan jube ala baraka bake